What's up, everybody? GeauxBurns here, welcoming you to the 8th installment of the Top 5 Ideas series. By the way, there is a playlist just like for everything else I do. Feel free and go check out previous installments of Top 5 Ideas. Now, the premise of Top 5 Ideas for Grand Theft Auto Online, obviously, great ideas, goofy ideas, logical ideas, stupid, wacky ideas that I come up with, and you, my viewers, subscribers, and fans, on ways to quote-unquote improve Grand Theft Auto Online. Now, disclaimer, I do not claim to be the originator of any of these ideas. I'm sure there's other people that have had similar ideas, and I don't have a trademark or copyright or any of them. So these are simply the 5 ideas I came up with this week that I thought would be really cool additions to Grand Theft Auto Online. So let's get to it, shall we? The first idea, Autopilot. That's right, I would love to see Autopilot added to planes, helicopters, and jets, much like in real life. Say, for example, you're up in Paleto Bay, you swipe a helicopter from the sheriff's station, you need to get all the way down to Los Santos, and you just want to set it on Autopilot. Very similar to the Merriweather pickup helicopter. You just, press it on the GPS and bam, you just fly a straight line from point A to point B. Of course, you kind of have to get at the right altitude because you might slam into a mountain or a building. Second idea, the truck category, something I've been talking about for a while now. You may or may not have noticed that there are trucks in the game, and even though they're not categorized as trucks, they're still trucks. Like, for example, the Bison and Bobcat in the vans category, the Saddler in utility, and of course the Rat Loader, Rat Truck, and Slam Van in muscle. Now, one of two things could happen here. Either A, you take all the trucks from all the various categories and you merge them into a new truck category, or you can just take the Bison, the Bobcat XL, the Saddler, the Rat Loader, Rat Truck, and Slam Van, and simply move them over to off-road with all the other trucks. Idea number 3. So the rumor has it we're going to get a return of the Valentines Massacre DLC. I don't know if it's going to be called that coming up in February, but that's the rumor. So we're getting all those items back. The vintage clothing, the masks, and of course the Roosevelt and Gusenberg machine gun, aka the Tommy gun. Now this is going to be great for everybody that didn't have a chance to purchase those items from the Prohibition gangster era. But I think Rockstar, if they're going to do this, need to do a little bit more than simply bring back all those items, because a lot of us did purchase those items a while back, a year ago. We already purchased the clothing items we wanted. We purchased the fedoras we wanted. We purchased the masks and the Roosevelt and the Gusenberg. So hopefully Rockstar will add additional things to the DLC, like, for example, another vehicle from that era, maybe a sports version, or perhaps a new weapon or weapons, like a revolver. A lot of people want a revolver in the game. Great opportunity to add a revolver, or like the Browning automatic rifle. That was another very popular weapon used by the gangsters during the Prohibition era. Moving on to the 4th idea, which is also weapons-oriented, throwing weapons. Now, this is something you can do, obviously, in Red Dead Redemption. The ability to throw knives or tomahawks at foes. Now, it would be really cool if you could do this in Grand Theft Auto Online, be it throwing knives, ninja stars, tomahawks, or darts. I came up with the idea during the Festive Surprise DLC when we had the ability on snow days to throw snowballs. That's where a little idea sparked in my head, and I thought about Red Dead Redemption. I'm like, hey, that would be really sweet. You could go to ammunition, you could buy throwing knives up to 30, or up to 30 ninja stars, 20, 30, whatever, and then you could either just fling them at NPCs or enemies or other players in missions, survival, free mode, or you could just walk up to somebody really quick and just knife them with a throwing knife, or hack them with a tomahawk. That would just be really cool. I think that they should add throwing knives, ninja stars, tomahawks, darts, etc. into the weapons category, probably the grenade section. That's where they put the snowballs, so I think that would work. And finally, my 5th idea, super expensive apartments. Now, I had the idea come up a few days ago in someone else's video. They were talking about the possibility of mansions coming to Grand Theft Auto Online, which is something that's been ongoing for a while now. Lots of people have been speculating about possible mansion properties. But I had the idea, well, what if instead of mansions, we also got these quote-unquote super expensive apartments in downtown Los Santos, in some of the unoccupied skyscrapers that are not being used for anything. For example, the Maze Bank Tower. Now, I know. Yes, it says Maze Bank Tower. I realize that that is a fictional bank in the game. I realize that possibly there's a bank at the bottom of the tower, maybe on the first couple floors. But the rest of the tower is probably, if you base it on real life, if you base it on the real U.S. Bank Tower in Los Santos, there's more in that tower, in that skyscraper, than just a bank. They lease it out to businesses and companies, as with all buildings and skyscrapers. I know this because I've worked in a couple buildings in my day, some of which happen to have the name of a bank on the side of the building. And yes, I know for a fact that there are other businesses and companies in these buildings besides a bank. And it's also not unprecedented for the well-to-do, the extremely wealthy, to lease floors in these towers, these skyscrapers, in various cities throughout the world, and create their own residence. One of many residences, by the way, so their own flat, their own condo, their own penthouse. The same can happen in Grand Theft Auto Online. So I envision the ability for us to purchase super expensive apartments in the Mace Tower and other skyscrapers that currently don't have apartments in it. Obviously for a very high price, $1+ million, but it'll be worth it, I think, because there'll be a lot more perks regarding these apartments. Like, for example, they would be bigger, nicer interiors with more things to do, like the dartboard, which is coming in Heist, I think, that's been mentioned in the trailer, and maybe a pool table you can have, a gym, a poker table for you, some of your friends to come by, play poker, do a little gambling. An arcade machine, perhaps, or maybe just video games on the TV from previous GTA installments, you know, the fictional games that exist in their world that they actually made games for. They actually made video games to put inside of the video game. I hope you understand what I'm talking about there. But the big whopper, the big selling point to the quote-unquote super expensive apartments that I have in mind, or the penthouses, whatever you want to call them, the ability for you to have also an up to 20-car garage. That's right, I said it. 20-car garages in these penthouse apartments. And it could either be just a new layout with 20 cars or just 2 levels of the 10-car garages. Now, see, that's the selling point there. That's where people start to get swayed. They're thinking, hey, you're onto something. That means that instead of having up to 30 cars, I can now have up to 60 cars if I buy 3 of these quote-unquote penthouse super expensive properties. Exactly! I just find it fascinating that some people were actually debating me about this idea. For one thing, it's a video game. And two, there's already a lot of silly things in the game that really don't make much logical sense if you want to go by that whole angle. For example, your character can die a bazillion times and still come back to life. You can carry all sorts of weapons on you and whip them out magically. If you're in, for example, Grapeseed and you have a property in Los Santos and you need a vehicle, your mechanic can get you there to you magically within a few seconds. And speaking of garages, okay, there's a lot of these houses that you can buy now that are supposedly 6-car garages. You look at the garage and you think to yourself, no way in hell you could actually fit 6 cars in any of these garages. And a lot of these cars in the game, like the Sand King XL, you probably could barely fit it into one of those garages. Unless it's a TARDIS. Bigger on the inside, right? So there you have it, the 8th installment of my Top 5 Ideas series. Let me know below in the comment section which one was your fave. The Autopilot for planes, helicopters, and jets. Adding a new category like the truck category. Adding throwing knives, ninja stars, tomahawks, darts, etc. as a weapon. Of course, new items for the possible return of the Valentines Massacre DLC. Or whatever the hell it's going to be called. And of course, the super expensive apartments, aka penthouses in Maze Bank Tower, as well as other currently unused skyscrapers in downtown Los Santos.